Sahara TV. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. This is a Skype call segment when we give you the chance to give us feedback on some of the shows, some of the programs we've been presenting to you. I hope you've been enjoying our show today. It's been wonderful talking about the situation in Nigeria, Africa, and of course the rest of the world. We touched on the issue happening in America, in South Africa, and of course in Nigeria. Before we go to Skype callers and get your viewpoint on some of these issues, I have here with me the publisher of Sahara Reporters and the chief executive of SaharaTV, Omoyele Sowore, who just came back from Nigeria. Sowore, welcome back to Sahara TV.
Thank you.
All right, so you just came back on Wednesday, I believe. How is Nigeria?
It's difficult to say. I just came back from Nigeria, having visited Nigeria for the inauguration, and stayed back to travel a little bit around the country. I won't say around the country, but in some parts of the country to see how people are taking in the transition from one government to the other, and also meeting and working with some people and what we could do better on Sahara Reporters and Sahara TV. So I don't know what to say. It's just the country is in a state of suspense because people had lots of expectation and they felt that the new government ought to hit the ground running, which did not happen. So people are just hoping that something is going to happen that would make everything that's been a problem disappear.
So yeah, that's the expression we hear, hit the ground running, and it appears as if something got stuck, the feet got stuck in the mud or something. But beyond that, beyond the government running, what do you know is behind the stalemate, so to say, the fact that nothing seemed to be moving?
I think from my understanding of what is happening, the president is a very, very bureaucratic and procedural person. So he believes in bureaucracy, and he also believes in procedures, that everything has to follow a certain procedure before they become. But unfortunately, what that does to him and the public impression about his ability to govern is that people expected that, having run 4 different times for the position of president, they expected that he would have in his pocket some kind of blueprint on how to hit the ground running. That hasn't happened. So he's now looking at things, combing through accounts and reading through documents that were handed over to him. But everybody expected that he would have had that under control by now. That's not happening. But I cannot explain why things are going to have been taking so long. But I can tell you that it's not likely that things will happen automatically. We'll probably have another month to go before you see a clear picture of his cabinet and his aides and assistants. But one thing is very clear. He is very, very interested in security, and he wants to be the chief security officer of Nigeria, not a standoffish chief security officer of Nigeria. And you've seen that by way of how many places he's been to and creating a multinational force, rebuilding it. He had existed, but it fell apart, and so they're putting that back in place. And I think he would then give his VP the authority to run the economy and do the day-to-day running of the country, because as he has admitted in South Africa, regardless of whether he took that back or not, he is very old, and he recognizes that he's not Buhari of 1983. Yeah.
All right, so for our Skype callers, if you want to join this conversation where we have the publisher of Sahara Reporters, just go to Skype and join us, and we will get your view as part of this conversation. So let's look at the National Assembly elections for the positions. You were there in Nigeria when it happened. What did we miss watching it from abroad?
I think things happened so fast that I think everybody missed something, but between those who were here abroad and those who were at home. And this was how quickly things unraveled overnight. And that is classic Bukola Saraki right there, that whenever he wanted something, he's willing to sacrifice anything. There's been instances where he sacrificed his father for political expediency, his sister. And this time around, he had the party to be thrown under the bus, and he did that very quickly. To the extent that even the party did not recognize and realize that this was happening. The president did not realize what was happening before it was too late. So he knew that if he attended the meeting with the president that morning, the party will prevail on him. They will sit and say, look, the party is bigger than you have to give up. But he wanted the Senate presidency so bad that he was willing to sacrifice anything to get it. And so in that regard, everybody missed the clue. But not us, because we were updating, of course. As things
there were many analyses of what happened. One of them was that this was an effort to diminish the role of Bola Tinubu in APC. There was another one that says that this was really the beginning of campaign 2019. Which one is close to the truth?
I think there's a part of it that's meant to diminish Bola Tinubu's role, but there's also a part of it that is meant to enthrone, a criminal gang, around a political criminal gang. I'm saying that also referring to Tinubu's own criminal gang, but there's a newer and more aggressive and more cutting-edge criminal gang in town that people haven't paid attention to. And they are composed of business people and politicians. And this is with the one that Saraki led. And what you saw was that, many people didn't know that Bukola Saraki was the biggest fundraiser for the Buhari election. Many people, everybody thought it was Tinubu because Tinubu is the owner of the party. No, it was Bukola Saraki who got money from the likes of Dangote and some of the guys who realized very early or very late in the game that Jonathan was going to lose. They channeled all their money through Bukola Saraki, including even some elements at the NNPC. You must have heard some stories about him taking money from the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Those were some of the monies channeled last minute. So he was a bagman, real bagman for the campaign. And he felt that he deserved to be rewarded for it, but the party didn't see him as someone who should be in a position like that. So that new gang was able to prove their mettle and push Bola Tinubu apart our side. But this is the real story. Lawan actually wasn't Bola Tinubu's candidate for Senate president. It was the former governor of Benue State, Akume, that Tinubu wanted. But after reading Buhari's body language, which is the best they can do, and knowing the kind of character he is, they decided to go with Lawan. And then, of course, it meant that he was able to put in his own candidate as the second in command there, which was Akume. So, but Saraki just went back to the rich guys and said, look, it's possible that we've lost the presidency to, someone who you cannot approach to do business. He's not a business person. But you need a Senate that is pro-business. And you know what pro-business means in Nigeria is that, someone who can support all the criminals in the business community. And they supported him, and they spent money. They overspent Bola Tinubu and all his people overnight. And then they went back to the PDP to get all the remnants of the PDP to back him, because he only had 11 senators from his own party. That's why they had to do what they did, which is not even allow the other senators to be part of the election process. So they went to David Mark, and David Mark arranged for the clerk of the House to make that happen for them, because that was his man.
Now, there are people from several parts of the country who, when they do the analysis, they say that the outcome of this election at the National Assembly ended up being, no matter who the candidates were, became more balanced in terms of representing different parts of the country, unlike what would have happened if the APC candidates had won the election. what do you say to something like that? For instance, they say that the Senate, the Speaker of the House is from Northwest. Senate President is from North Central. Kind of saying that it's more balanced, the outcome. That wouldn't have happened if APC had their way. In terms
I think if APC had their way, they would have had a speaker from the Southwest.
Not just Southwest, from Lagos,
yes,
where the Vice President is from.
The Vice President is not from Lagos, for your information.
Okay.
You should find out. I think it's from Ogun State.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's lived in Lagos, so you can say he's a Lagosian, but not from Lagos.
Okay.
But you would have had a speaker from the Southwest, whether you call it Lagos or Southwest. You would have had a Senate President from the Northeast. But right now, you have Saraki, who everybody who can tell you his history will tell you he's actually a core Fulani man. So Bukola Saraki and Buhari are the same, realistically speaking. And the Speaker of the House is also from the North. So if you want to categorize a North-South divide, you now have all the three principal officers of the, of the House, the Presidency, and the House of Representatives from the North. And the South doesn't have much except the VP. And the VP has already been categorized as a mayor commissioner. You're going to see more of that with Bukola Saraki as the President of the Senate. Yes.
So now we have another issue that took place in the last 1 week about the allowances of these lawmakers. It's not a new thing, but something appears to have changed in this current debate. What do you think is the responsible for that in terms of, is it social media? Is it that people are now more conscious of what is happening in government and are demanding accountability? What changed?
It's social media. And people have always demanded accountability. People have always wanted good governance, but social media has given a lot more people an opportunity to express themselves about how they feel about their country and reach directly to the people affected or people concerned. So if I want to speak to Bukola Saraki now, I just need to tag him in my social media posts, in my Twitter posts, and he'll read it immediately. Before, it took his aides, it took time and energy and effort to get messages across to people, but now they do immediately. So I think it's social media. But it's one thing you have to understand about Nigerian politicians is that they also know how to wait out pressure. They'll just wait and see if this goes away. And you see they're already manipulating by saying, well, our wardrobe allowance is not as big as you thought. But the question is, what do they get entirely for the allowance as to what nobody has spoken about?
Yeah. All right. We understand that our Skype callers are ready and they want to join us, so let's say hello to them. From Michigan, we have ABUDUGANA. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, well, you got it partially right.
All right, all right.
You can pronounce it as ABUDUGANA.
ABUDUGANA, okay. Welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, Bishop in UK. Bishop, welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you for having us there.
Okay. Braithwaite, welcome to SaharaTV.
It's a pleasure.
All right. So we have Omoyele Sowore here with us. So if you have any comments or question you want to address to him, please do so. So the central idea, what we are discussing today, is simply that this is the third week. We've had third week of this government, and some people are saying that it appears social media is actually getting frustrated with what's happening with this government. So let me come to you in Michigan. ABUDUGANA, what do you think is, what is the impression of how they performed?
Actually, we have a different understanding of how the new administration has fared. And I think the expectation of the people was to have the administration of Muhammadu Buhari to hit the ground running. But my argument has always been that you can't just hit the ground running. Sometimes you have the muddy ground, you have the wet ground, you have the solid ground. So you need to hit the right crowd in order for you to be able to move on. And I think that's what the administration is trying to do. And we've seen the body language of the administration that it's not going to be business as usual. I mean, in terms of the expectation. So I still think the expectation is being kept alive. I mean, in the whole days, you have all sorts of characters around the government. But recently, we've seen how the government conducted itself in its trip to the G7 meeting and in its other international engagement, which have shown that we are really in for something remarkable. And if the information coming in terms of the expectation of having our refineries back to work is anything to go by, I think the administration should be credited for putting in place the logistics for it to achieve its manifestorial plan. Personally, I'm not disappointed with what is happening because I know it takes time for government to put things together. More so that the outgoing president did not cooperate with the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari during the transition process. So they have to get their information right, preparation of the change to come. I still think we have a long way to go in terms of the expectations of this administration. So I say personally, I'm not disappointed with what I've seen.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to ask you, because he mentioned something about the oil refineries, and there are several stories that come up, like the presidential jets were sold, that people are returning money. They all turn out not to be true. Is this one of them?
I mean, there's a lot of myths about governance, and Buhari as a person, as a character, is a mythical figure. You know, it's people just form stories around what they think he could do, the magic he could perform, and they become, you know, urban legends. And this is what I've seen. You know, people have been telling me, even while I was in Lagos, that electricity had improved. But one thing you should know is that this is rainy season. You know, there's more water pouring through the turbines, so you get better electricity. Before you can talk about improvement of electricity, you have to look at what is the wattage out there. So, you know, megawattage that's functioning. You have 1.5. It's not going to take you anywhere. When the rainy season is over, you are back to your misery. With the refineries, we are yet to see the refineries working. If the refineries are working or going to be working, I'll give the credit to the outgoing man. You know, there's nothing that Buhari has done apart from traveling since he came to power that shows that he's going to make the refineries work in the next 6 months. But for you to start crediting a government with functional refineries, you're telling me that you're no longer importing, you know, gasoline. If you're importing gasoline, just exactly. Not, you know, I don't want us to celebrate going forward any form of mediocrity that has driven us this far, because every government that comes to power, there's always some mediocre thing they do that we elevate to national and international standard. And at the end of the day, we get disappointed. It was like, oh, you know, how didn't we know? How did we miss it? And that's what I'm not going to be judging what we're seeing on a lot of, you know, websites and social media posts. It's just like creation of fantasies of people who are posting them. And it is part of the expectation on the ground that people just think, well, maybe we should have 24-hour electricity. Buhari is there. Let me write a story that says it's happening already. Maybe we should have, you know, unlimited supply of gasoline. Buhari is the guy who is in charge. He can never disappoint. So let me write a story. It's like issuing an advance check, you know.
But if we can say something about EFCC and the sense that they just woke up, what's responsible for that? Should they be assigned as part of the fact that Buhari is now in and they feel they can move around?
I will be the first to tell you, and I know a lot of guys at the EFCC, and I want this to be tweeted, that the EFCC chairman is just grandstanding. I think he wants to retain his position. And so they're running around, you know, opening files, and they want to be one of the flagship organizations that is seen to be out there working. But the question is, if EFCC really wants to work, I want to see prosecutions. I also see people, you know, being trusted before, you know, before judges, and solid charges, not watery charges, and not bringing back Yahoo boys and love scams. As if the EFCC should be known for fighting big criminals and real economic criminals, and not, you know, people who are stealing goat, yam, and all this, you know. Maybe there's a part of entertainment that we love about their releases, but that's not how serious organizations. That's, I think, the EFCC is just grandstanding. And like I said, I want that to be on record.
All right. Bishop, in UK, 3 weeks into Buhari's government, what is your take?
Well, Rudolf, first of all, I want to thank you guys for your good works and what guys are doing. Every eyes on Reporter, being the fact you guys were standing up for Buhari, and people are really looking up to you guys for the critics, analysis, and all of that. And again, I commend Sowore for his good work. I saw you when you were fighting with this Mugambe guy in Zimbabwe. Anyway, so far, I want to commend the government of Nigeria. I think, for my own assessment, I think it'd be fair enough to say that Buhari coming into power, there's going to be a lot of changes. Like Justice has rightly said, you don't just expect a government who barely start for about 30 weeks to change all that is the infrastructure, the things that are already on ground. Those things, those processes, they are going to take place. They are going to take time. You don't just expect to just hit the ground running, in the sense that you want the life to be stabilized, you want the economy to be stabilized, you want all of that to be known. It's going to take a process. This one we're talking, it might even take the whole tenure, the first tenure that is going to that Buhari is going to spend. We don't know how long this will take. So for Nigeria to be much expectant, I think it will be very fair and massive pressure on the government of Buhari.
All right, Bishop, thank you so much. Thank you. I have to cut you short, okay? Because we are really not, we don't have a lot of time here. Let me ask you, because we're searching for heroes and heroes. We see a lot of movements in social media and in mainstream media in search of who are going to be the heroes of this new administration. And people like Ben Bruce, they are popping up there, the names. What do you think about someone like Ben Bruce? What do you think about someone like Senator Sani, Ahmed Sani? What do you think about who are the people Shehu Sani, who are the people we should be watching in this new administration?
I mean, you know, there's a whole lot of entertainment going on. Every administration has this very boisterous personality. And I think Ben Bruce is the new guy on the block. And the question I asked about Ben Bruce is simple. You know, can Ben Bruce produce the list of people he has given national awards through his Silver Bell Awards in the last 4 years, and tell us how many of them are thieves, you know, criminals, and all kinds of characters? So Ben Bruce is not the moral judge for Nigeria, but he's an entertainment figure. Ben Bruce is there to entertain, you know, and the kind of entertainment that Ben Bruce is providing now, people like, you know, Dino Melai have been there to do it before, you know, fighting against corruption, organizing protests, you know, and then after a while they fizzle out because there's a purpose for all of that. Ben Bruce himself is a, you know, is a candidate produced by former President Goodluck Jonathan. It's instructive that a Ben Bruce that has now just woken up from sleep or slumber that he's been at had been there under Jonathan for all these years. And all of them have come to an agreement, including Akpabio today, who went to meet Obasanjo, that the man ruined the economy. So 4 years, Ben Bruce is there. He didn't see all of the bad things that happened. He was part of Obasanjo's administration. He used to be the chairman of the NTA, Nigeria Television Authority.
That didn't improve. That
place didn't improve. They're still doing their 1979, you know.
They're still using analog.
Analog, you know, their quality is terrible. Even his own TV station, if you use that to judge a good performer as a CEO, and then we're in trouble. So, and you know, but they have entertainment value. They have nuisance value, and we must accept that as part of our growth process.
But what happened to Dino, this Senator Dino? What happened to him? Because now we see that champagne or the wine, what is it? Is it real?
Well, it's real.
He made it?
He didn't. They said his friends made it. But, you know, you can imagine if as a claim you don't drink champagne and somebody puts your name on a champagne bottle, then that person must either know that you drink champagne or they want you to be drinking champagne.
Why did he advertise his home, the pictures of his cars?
Exactly.
What is happening?
It shows to you, like everyone else, is an entertainment figure and his own time has passed. So Ben Bruce is a new guy on the block. But it's a shame. As you know, Bruno, we've associated with when we thought he was serious. But that's just unfortunate, the way he characterized himself. And people are asking questions, Part of it is also that, Dino is a creation of social media. And when social media was tired of him, they took him down. And now they've replaced him with Ben Bruce. Yes.
All right, let's go to Brentwood. What is your take on so far how the government of Buhari, how they've been performing? What is your take? And of course, if you have a question for Sowore, you can go ahead and ask him.
Yes, let me go to Sowore first about what he said about EFCC. If we could remember during the time of Farida Waziri, she was singing it like a song about special courts. I think one of the major challenges has been special court for EFCC. A situation whereby they will put people who stole billions in line in a court case, which may be petty criminal, maybe people who stole 10,000. The judge will now tell the registrar, they will fix the next hearing of the case of a very big criminal, maybe in 2 or 3 months, because there are other line cases that if you sum up the total of that amount, it is nowhere closer to the main amount the other people stole, that they have pushed him back to a far date because of there is no time in the court. So I think while he said that the other man is doing grandstanding, another case too to the EFCC, I think, or for the president now should be establishment of special court. When they establish special court, at least it will be easier because the people who stole money they are presenting to court can even be, they can bring them to court every day, and the whole thing will be speedy and concluded.
Okay.
The other one was what?
Okay, thank you so much. What's your answer to?
Well, special courts, there's nothing new about special courts. In fact, what you refer to as special courts in Nigeria are the things we call tribunals today. In the case of elections, you have election tribunals. And what do the tribunals do? They put 3 judges on the tribunal, and they're going to make billions in every election cycle and come back and award election results to the highest bidder or highest paymaster. So there's nothing special about special courts. If you don't have the right character of judges in Nigeria, if the judiciary is the way it is, where are you going to get the special judges from to do special court? Even if you do, and you have, say, 6 special courts trying corruption cases, so as they do in Nigeria, they have 6 different tribunals in each zone. And you have 3 judges or 4 judges or even 10 judges. With a few billions, you corrupt the judges and the special courts become part of the problem of the Nigerian judiciary. So whereas people are excited about this idea of special courts, I am more interested in having an EFCC, an Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, that can do proper investigation and file strong cases against these individuals. The reason why I say so is during Ribadu's time, even though people have issues with Ribadu, all the charges he filed, all the cases he filed, they haven't been able to dispense of them because of the weight of the evidence against the likes of Orji Kalu, all of these former governors some of them have been around in the tribunal in the court since 2007. The judges, as corrupt as they are, cannot get rid of them. Whereas cases filed by this current EFCC and Ms. Farida, they have been gotten rid of because they were watery cases. I remember the case of the former speaker, Bankole. The EFCC left these serious allegations and went for the watery ones, and it didn't take the judges a long time to get rid of those cases. So, and we shouldn't wait all the time for people to steal money and invest them and before we catch them. If the FCC can be strengthened and have the right instrument, the right institutional framework to deal with people before they even steal money. You know, some of the biggest cases in the U.S. of corruption are people who have not even carried out the act itself, like the former governor of Chicago, Illinois,
yeah,
who was just discussing over the phone how to sell Obama's senatorial seat. He was caught, you know, and I've seen so many cases in which people are still just planning before they were caught. So why do, in our own case, we wait until somebody has stolen, you know, 50% of the budget of a state, and then we go and hold them before one judge. The judge gets paid, his son is paid, and the case is disposed of. The judge is happy. You know, look at the case of Edo State, where the candidate that was charged for stealing 20 billion just was fined 3 million, and he brought the money in his pocket. That's something that happened to his brother. So we need institutions and not just everything special, and ad hoc. That can work. There are no special courts for corruption in the U.S. It is that guy that will try you for murder or weapon possession that will try you for corruption in the U.S. The same judges. So it's just about strengthening the judiciary.
Now, let's look at this. One of the big issues going on in Nigeria is the fact that state governments are insolvent. They can't pay workers in most of the states, and they are begging for help. How did we get here? And why is it that the only solution to this is to run to the federal government to seek money so that they could pay their workers? When the federal government, we know, they are also short of money.
Well, most of the, I mean, the inability of the states to pay workers or to meet their obligations that arose from corruption. See, the problem is this. If a state is making 1.3 billion naira a month, and the governor of the state spends 320 million naira for security votes on himself and his family, there's no way the state will not become bankrupt. And nobody's asking, why do governors have so much access? Just one person have the capability to spend the salary of 90% of the workers of a state on himself. And these same security agencies that they claim they're spending the security votes on are also paid by the federal government and the state government in other areas to take care of their own obligations. So majority is corruption, and the rest is just pure mediocrity and mismanagement. You know, so many of these state governors don't know what they're doing. They're just governors, they're just heads. You know, they won elections, and when they win elections, they have to give, you know, they have to give the money back to their investors, people who may put them in power, their godfathers. You know, they award fake contracts. Nobody's looking at all these things, you know. And at the end of the day, you then look at the general management of Nigerian resources under Jonathan. Jonathan made the most money from oil, crude oil sales, and he just wasted it. With the support of this fake woman from the World Bank who was imposed on Nigeria the second time. You know, and until we start asking questions, until we start punishing people, I would say, for their level, for this mega destruction of our economic resources, then you're not going to discourage governors that are coming. Because what will happen is that you find a governor who wants to buy a car or who wants to buy a helicopter. He goes to the capital market to go and raise money, and he lies in the capital market that he wants to use that money to build roads. The moment the money comes in, he goes to marry a new wife, he buys more cars, he buys an helicopter, and the rest of the time he's just junking it all over the place. Nobody's even asking how the governors are traveling from one place to the other. Some of them are permanently hiring private jets that are picking them from one spot to the other, whether it's official or unofficial. Until you start looking into their excesses, states will continue to be bankrupt. And most importantly, most of Nigerian states are not viable. You know, they're just there for political expediency. You know, or maybe, you know, I would say cultural and ethnic and geopolitical expediencies and necessity. Otherwise, several of the states should not even exist in the first place because they can't support themselves. And you, in the midst of that, you are hearing people talking about creation of new states. You know, when half of the states can't pay their salaries. Yes. All
right. Let me come to you, ABUDUGANA. We're running out of time. Let me ask you, because people are concerned that Nigerians might tune out from this government, and the narrative that we have now about inactivity might take hold. how long are you willing to still give the government, and what do you expect them to do to show that they are serious about governance in the next few days, if not weeks?
Make a kind of delineation when we talk about expectation. Are we talking about the government at the center? Or
at the center, yeah, they have to kick off. I mean, at the center, that's where everybody's looking at.
Where I expect the presidency to start acting with urgency any moment from next week. We've heard about rumors here and there, and some of us with ears to the ground, we are fully aware that the administration is going to be sending a list of potential ministerial appointees to the Olushemba, and we expect once ministers are in place that the program of the administration will be rolled out. And part of the fact that we have not really seen them move on is because when you have a lot of damage done to the economy, when you have a lot of damages done to the country as a whole, you need to be careful about what exactly you want to profound, you want to propose as the remediation process, because you don't have the resources. So when you have very little resources to expand on development process, then you need to make informed decision. And such kind of decision, it takes time to make. But here we have super expectation.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me come to you, because we've talked to people here on this show, and they blame the media team behind Buhari in terms of how they have been handling these expectations and how they've been handling the fact that the government, it appears, is not moving in the way that people are expecting. Do you think that the media team for this government, they are equal to the task? Are they handicapped by anything?
You know, there's nothing any media team can do other than propaganda. And people can see through that BS very quickly these days. You know, they have to work with what they have. And you also have a Buhari that's a very stubborn old man who doesn't care about all the little things we care about. So before they can come out and speak about something relating to him, they have to meet him first. And if he says, I don't care, do you go out and say, I don't care, you know, or do you go and manage it in such a way that you don't hurt him? Because don't forget, the media team is working at the mercy of the president, first and foremost. So it is not the media team that Buhari needs. He needs a management team who can manage his ego, his age, who can manage his background, to be able to understand that, see, people are in a hurry to see results out there. And there's no excuse out there that can satisfy the people who are in a hurry to see results, because Buhari came to power on the back of this very, very, you know, sentiment that people don't want to continue, and they were in a hurry to. They were restless. They were restless for change. So you cannot tell them to go and take another dose of patience when they have had it for 5 years and dealt with it, and they say, well, we will need to move in another direction. So as long as they understand, that's why I think, first and foremost, not the media team he needs. He needs a people management team that can, you know, help him understand the urgency of now.
All right, Bishop, let me come to you. In this movie, The Incredibles, it talked about, I don't want excuses, I want results. What do you want the government to do that will give immediate results and change the story that is currently running across Nigeria?
Well, and again, I sincerely want to thank Sahara Report for the opportunity. Where to me, I'm surprised by now. We are still haven't gotten who is the minister of that, with the minister of that. Here in the UK, after 3 days, I think second day to the presidency election and all of that, after he was elected, the next day or 3 days later, they all got their minister, they all got their portfolio on the present administration. But I'm surprised by now, 3 weeks into the Buhari administration is still kind of, we still haven't known who is who in the cabinet, and they have issue with the NAS, that is National Assembly. But this is going to be a major setback, I think, and I'm assuming that it's going to be a major setback in this present administration if care is not taken.
All right. Bishop, I know we don't have a lot of time today. Let me stop you there. There's something I wanted to talk about before we go. I want to talk about the state governments, the new governors. There are things happening in River State, which is interesting about the relationship between Amechi and the new governor. And then in Kaduna State, El Rufai is being projected as someone who is acting properly. What is your assessment of the new governors and how are they doing? Are they any different from the old ones?
I haven't seen anything that gives me the hope or the confidence to think that they will act differently. You just have to just do contemporary history and understand that when people come newly to power, they pull stunts. So what we're seeing in Rivers is a drunken governor. He's acting like a drunkard all over the place. And part of what he wants to show is that, look, I've won the election. He wants to legitimize his election because it's an election that is cast in the shadow of violence and rigging. Right. Yes. So he wants to quickly see that, but he's, in my view, doing it the wrong way because nobody respects him. He's not doing it in a respectable way at all. With regards to Kaduna, El Rufai is doing what he knows how to do best, which is showing to people that he can do things differently. But, it's not going to be just easy to walk into a place and run a state like you would do in the UK. It's just like when he was Minister of FCT, and they were doing all these things, you cancel motorbikes, and then the next moment you're going to bring London taxes. They didn't last 3 months. So he got it wrong at that time, but he's generally seen as an action-oriented person and that he's fearless. So we'll see, but again, without the federal government taking shape, nobody's looking at the state very much at this point.
Mm-hmm. All right, Brentwood, I will give you the last word in terms of, I want you to say, when you look at Nigeria and look at what's going on in the last 3 weeks, what keeps you up at night?
What I will say firstly is we have leakages in Nigeria, and if Buhari don't mend that leakage, it will result like the one of Jonathan. I'm not a prophet of doom, but one of the major problems of Jonathan's administration was subsidy. The money yearly that goes to subsidy and importation of petroleum was one of what we are suffering at. So if Buhari can solve the issue of refinery, I think Nigeria will be on a better path. And the last one is that I need to disagree with Sowore on my state, River State. If you are not popular, you cannot even rig election. So his statement about Wike is like maybe Wike was not duly elected. I think if they even conduct the election today free and fair, Wike will still win Amechi. I think Wike is more popular. That's my own view.
All right. Thank you so much. You want to respond?
No, my response is simple. If you can win a popular election, why go through the back door? That defeats the idea of free and fair elections. If it's popular, there was no need for him to have engaged in the level of brigandage and rigging. I mean, the card readers are saying that only 400,000 people voted maybe in the state, and you award yourself 1.2 million. That's not popular. That's criminality.
Mm. All right, Bishop. Thank you so much for joining us. I wouldn't have.
Sorry, can I quickly ask something, please?
Okay, just 30 seconds.
Sorry, this one goes to Sowore. I totally disagree with Sowore on the Benny Bruce case that this man is known as a philanthropist. In doing that, I think has nothing to do with entertainment. He did that with it. Why is it that it's only that is doing that? So I don't think he did that out of magnanimity.
Let me just, Bishop, you have been a regular member of this house to the best of my knowledge, and we have had times to disagree before now, and you know what the result is. I'm just telling you that Ben Bruce is not a kid. He's been around in Nigeria for a long time, longer than you and I because of age. But that he's doing this at this time should make you just think twice about the validity of his position and correctness.
All right. We are totally out of time. I want to thank all our Skype guests. ABUDUGANA, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, too, for this opportunity.
Bishop in UK, Bishop, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Okay, Breathwaite, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, and Sowore, thank you for being here. We essentially come to the end of our show today. We want to thank all our guests and all the viewers who watched. We are going to leave you with some of our shows, Keeping It Real with Adiola and Dr. Damages. We'll be back here this time again next week. So stay tuned and keep following us on social media, so live stream, and everywhere. We are 24 hours. Stay tuned. Thank you.